Is this what your people do? Just walk into good Christian homes and take over? That's what she said to me, right in my own kitchen. Not, oops, wrong house. Not, I'm so sorry, nope. Just those words, cold as January pavement, and me standing there in my work suit, clutching my keys, staring at this woman in loud orange pants with her hands on my brand new microwave like she'd paid for it herself. 3 days. I'd owned the house for 3 days, still barely knew where I'd packed my socks. And here was this stranger who'd just walked through my unlocked front door like she had every right in the world to be there. When she saw me, she didn't jump, didn't even blink. Just curled her lips up in this smirk, like I was the one out of line. I think you have the wrong house, I told her, doing my best to keep it steady, keep it professional. She laughed, right in my face. Don't be ridiculous. This house is empty. I'm with the neighborhood watch. We saw suspicious activity, so I came to secure the property. Secure the property by stealing the microwave, I guess. Her logic was like a carnival funhouse mirror, all twisted and self-righteous. And, of course, she just had to bring race into it. Your people, suspicious activity, the whole ugly script. I told her I was the owner and she needed to leave. That's when she went full-on melodrama queen, shrieking that I was threatening her, grabbing her phone and dialing 911 to feed the operator some story about an aggressive black man attacking her. You ever stand in your own home, powerless, waiting for the police to show up because someone else decided to rewrite reality? I did. And when those cops rolled up, 2 white guys, one older and tired, one young and hyped, they didn't even knock. Just strode right in, hand on the gun, eyes on me. I was the problem. The woman? She dropped my microwave, fell into tears, and threw herself into their arms like I'd shown up with a ski mask. Sir, put your hands up where I can see them. The young cop didn't say please. I raised my hands, heart pounding, trying to keep my voice steady. This is my house. I have the deed. I can show you. Didn't matter. He saw what he wanted to see. The older cop patted her shoulder, called her ma'am, comforted her like she was some hero. I kept repeating, over and over, it's my house. I have the paperwork. It's right there by the door. The woman was screaming that I was lying. The officers went through the whole routine, asked for ID, questioned me like I was a burglar, never once questioned her. I pointed to my briefcase, told them where the deed was, begged them to look. Finally, after what felt like a decade, they did. The older cop flipped through the documents, his eyes flickering, surprise maybe, or just annoyance at being wrong. But you know what? None of that mattered. They didn't apologize. They didn't even question her about why she'd been in my kitchen. They just told us both to calm down, that it was all a big misunderstanding. Ma'am, you obviously made a mistake. You thought the house was empty. You were just trying to be a good neighbor. He might as well have handed her a medal. I couldn't believe it. A misunderstanding? I said, probably a little too quiet. She broke into my house. She tried to take my stuff. The officer just held up his hand. Look, no harm done. The microwave's still here. She's elderly, confused. Are you sure you want to press this? It was like a punch to the gut, being asked to just let it go, to swallow the fact that the system was ready to let a crime slide because it was easier. But I didn't let it go. I said no. I wanted a report. I wanted to press charges. I wanted something resembling justice. The officer sighed, told me the DA wouldn't care, that it was a neighbor dispute. But they took our statements, barely pretending to care, and drove her home, 2 houses down. She looked out the police car window, smirked at me like she'd won. Inside my house, my dream house, my sanctuary, I felt sick. The cops, the system, all of it had failed me. All because I didn't fit someone's picture of who should own a nice house in a quiet neighborhood. I sat there, watching the sun set, letting the anger settle into something sharper, a kind of cold resolve. But then I remembered, the security camera. I'd bought one, hadn't set it up, but maybe I'd plugged it in. My heart pounded as I ran to the mantle. Little blue light. Recording. I fumbled with the app, almost dropped my phone, but there it was. Video. Crystal clear. Her walking in. Her hands on my microwave. Her smug face. Her racist line. Her call to 911. Her lies. The cops bursting in. The whole thing. That footage was my silver bullet. I saved it in every way I could, made a dozen backups, emailed it to myself. The next morning, I took it straight to the police, asked for a detective. The guy at the desk probably thought I was crazy. But when I showed him the video, his eyes changed. You have the whole thing on tape? Every second. He nodded, took the thumb drive. Weeks passed. I called, got stonewalled, given the runaround. I started researching my neighbor. Turns out, she'd lived there forever. And her son? He was a cop. Not just a cop, a detective in the next town over. Suddenly, everything made sense. The delays, the excuses, the inertia. She wasn't just some nosy old lady. She was protected. She started coming after me, standing at the edge of her property, staring, calling in anonymous complaints about my grass, my trash, anything, trying to bury me in little bureaucratic annoyances. I held my ground until she went nuclear, filed for a restraining order, claimed I was harassing her, stalking her. If the judge bought it, I'd be the one in trouble. I called my PI, told him everything. He dug up dirt on the son, internal affairs investigations, witness tampering, a reputation for being a bully. He was the real deal, a fixer, a guy who made problems disappear. And now I was his problem. Court was a circus. She played the frail, frightened old lady. Her son walked her in, all law enforcement intimidation. She lied, said she was dropping off muffins, said I'd flown into a rage. My lawyer tried to submit the video, judge wouldn't allow it. Said it wasn't relevant to the restraining order. It all came down to her word against mine. And the judge sided with her, gave her the order, told me to keep my distance. I was furious, but I realized something. If the courts wouldn't see the truth, the world would. I sent the video to my cousin Jamal, a social media genius. He cut it into a short, brutal edit. Her racism, her theft, her lies, the cops treating me like the criminal. He sent it to activists and journalists. The internet exploded. Outrage, support, news crews on my street. The police chief giving a press conference. Under pressure, the DA reopened the case, charged her with breaking and entering, attempted larceny, and filing a false police report. That should have been the end, but the sun struck back. He fed dirt to right-wing blogs, dredged up an old business failure, tried to paint me as a con artist. My ex-business partner, Kevin, filed a lawsuit, clearly bankrolled by the Sun. It was a smear campaign designed to break me. But my PI snapped a photo, Kevin and the Sun meeting, plotting. My lawyer brought it to the DA, and suddenly the story flipped. The Sun was indicted. Conspiracy, obstruction of justice, witness tampering. Kevin caved. The civil suit was dropped. The judge sanctioned him and his lawyers. The Sun lost his badge, his pension, everything. The mother's trial was quick. The jury didn't need long. Guilty. No prison, but probation, a fine, and a permanent restraining order. This time, to keep her away from me. After all that, I didn't feel triumphant. Just tired. I'd lost money, lost peace, lost time. My house felt different, a battleground, not a home. But slowly, I reclaimed it. Renovated the kitchen. Hosted friends. Started speaking to community groups. Turning my story into something that might help others. Sarah, my girlfriend, stuck with me, even when it all felt impossible. We got married in the backyard, started a family. Life moved forward. Sometimes, I'd see the neighbors look at me with a weird mix of awe and pity. I was the guy who'd stood up, who'd fought, who'd won. The woman moved away. Her house became a home for a young family. I helped them move in, even carried in a microwave. The irony didn't escape me. A few years later, the older cop from that day found me in a bookstore. He apologized, said he was sorry for not listening, said my story had made a difference in his department. It meant something, hearing that. Maybe not enough, but something. I tell my son a simple version of the story. Mean lady, Dad had to be brave. Video helped change the rules. He thinks of it like a fairy tale. And honestly, maybe that's for the best. My greatest victory is his innocence. So that's the story. It started with a microwave, turned into a war, and ended with quiet evenings, new memories, and the simple joy of being able to call a house a home. I fought for my name, my dignity, my right to belong. I won. And now I get to ask you, what would you have done? What do you think justice really means after everything you've heard? Drop your thoughts down below. If you've ever faced something like this, tell your story. I'll be reading the comments. And if you believe justice is worth fighting for, share this, subscribe, and join the conversation. Because at the end of the day, that's how real change happens, one story at a time.